For some reason, the video quit filming right here, so let's just start a B part. We had just labeled rectus femoris as O. It's running straight up and down the femur bone. And now we have added to the side of the rectus femoris this muscle that's labeled P. I did mine dotted blue. This is the vastus lateralis. It's called lateralis because it's on the lateral side of the thigh. Vastus lateralis is number 37 on your sheet, and I did mine dotted blue. Let's go to Q. Q is on the other side of the rectus femoris, so it's more towards the middle. It is actually the vastus medialis. Vastus medialis is number 38 on your sheet. I labeled it Q, and then I colored it polka dot green or dotted green. Okay, so you see this muscle that is the vastus medialis. It is on the medial surface of the thighs next to the rectus femoris. And it is Q. That's 38 on your sheet is Q, vastus medialis. Actually, there is another vastus muscle that you really can't see well on this view because it's deep. It's called the vastus intermedius. It's underneath the rectus femoris, but these four muscles make up what are known as the quadricep. They all have the same insertion, so that means that their head all starts at the same place and then it branches out into four separate muscles, or what we consider four separate muscles. So when you hear somebody say something about the quadriceps, it includes these four muscles. And so on your sheet, I would like you to write this, that these four muscles make up the quadriceps. You can stop the video and write that down and then start the video again. So let's go to the other side of the leg. Do you see this muscle that runs obliquely across the thigh? This is the muscle that helps you to cross your leg when you're sitting down, and that kind of helps me remember the name of the muscle because I think when I sat down, I crossed my legs. This is the sartorius muscle. Sartorius muscle is number 26 on your sheet, so you're going to label 26 II, and I did this muscle spotted or polka dot yellow to give me a unique pattern. Polka dot yellow, sartorius. There's one more muscle that we're going to label on this anterior view, and it's this muscle that's on the calf of the leg. This muscle is really a posterior muscle, but it's so big, it has such a big belly that you can see it from the front side too. It has a big belly, like gastro, stomach, big belly, that they called it the gastrocnemius. Gastrocnemius. Gastrocnemius is number 11 on your sheet. So for 11, you're going to put LL. And I did mine polka dotted pink since I had already used my pink coloring on the above muscles. So that is gastrocnemius, the calf muscle. So now let's go to the posterior muscle man, the other picture. I'll give you a second, or you can stop the video and get your other picture. We're going to start with this muscle in the neck that we've actually already labeled once. Do you remember the muscle that went from the bump behind your ear down to the sternum and the clavicle? Well, we can see a hint of it on the posterior view where it attaches to the mastoid process. This is the sternocleidomastoid, mostly on the anterior surface, but we can see a hint of it on the posterior. So I went ahead and labeled it again. That is 21, K, and I colored mine yellow. Another muscle that we labeled on the anterior view, I told you was a triangular shaped muscle and we were only seeing half the triangle. Here we see the posterior part of the triangle. Do you remember what muscle that was of the shoulder? If you said deltoid, you are correct. So deltoid, we're going to label M and we're going to color it green. So we're labeling number 5, deltoid M, and coloring the word deltoid green. Let's go to another muscle that we've actually already labeled as well. This muscle we labeled because we could see a hint of it from the front side or the anterior view on either side of the biceps brachii. Remember that it had 3 heads and it's on the upper arm. It is the triceps brachii. That's number 24 on your sheet. So I color-coded mine red, little a, number 24, triceps brachii. Let's label a muscle we haven't labeled before. This big muscle looks like a bent rectangle or a trapezoid. And so this big kite-shaped, trapezoid-shaped muscle is the trapezius muscle. It's the muscles of the upper back. It is L. It's 23 on your sheet. And so I colored mine blue. I colored the word trapezius blue on number 23, labeled it L, and colored the big trapezius muscle blue on my man. Trapezius. Let's label another back muscle. This back muscle, P, is the latissimus dorsi. I like to think of it's kind of running across the back, kind of like a ladder would. It's on the dorsal surface. It actually attaches anterior. You can see a hint of it on the anterior surface sometimes. So this is the latissimus dorsi, the big muscle of the lower back. It is number 17. It is P. I colored mine orange, so I colored my word and my muscle orange, latissimus dorsi. So let's do another muscle. Let's do Q. Q actually is a hint of a muscle we saw on the front side as well, where you see it come around and attach to the back. Do you remember the muscle that was superficial and ran at an angle? It was on the outside. Do you remember the external oblique? So we're seeing just a hint of the external oblique on this posterior view. External oblique is number 9. Q, and so I colored mine this nice fuchsia pink color, external oblique. So let's go further down the torso. Everybody knows this muscle. It's the big buttocks muscle. It's the biggest of the buttock muscles, so it is the gluteus maximus. Gluteus maximus is number 12 on your sheet, so we're labeling it S, and I did mine on my real sheet striped green since I'd already used green for the deltoid. So gluteus maximus is striped green, and it is S. There actually is a gluteus minimus and intermedius that are smaller or middle in size, but in the human, the gluteus maximus is quite maximus or large. This is a muscle we labeled from the front. Do you remember me telling you that this calf muscle had such a big belly that they kind of named it after a word that means belly or stomach? Gastra. So this is the gastrocnemius. Gastrocnemius. Gastrocnemius is number 11. It's little I. I labeled mine on my real sheet striped blue because we've already used blue for the trapezius muscle. So gastrocnemius number 11, little I, is striped blue. Let's label some muscles of the posterior thigh. This muscle that is U that I've just colored purple is the biceps femoris. Just like the biceps brachii helps you to flex your arm, your biceps femoris helps you to flex your leg at the knee. And so it's a flexor muscle. It's the bicep. It has 2 heads. Biceps femoris is number 2 on your sheet. Label it U, and I colored mine purple, and you can color the biceps femoris purple on the man. Let's label another muscle of the thigh. Let's label W. W is the semitendinosus. It's running between the biceps femoris and another muscle that we're going to label semitendinosus. Semitendinosus is W. That would be 20 on your sheet. W, I colored mine bright red or striped red. Another muscle of the back thigh is X, or the semimembrananeous, or I've heard semimembranous or semimembrananeous. I've heard it said both ways. That one is number 19. It's X. And the reason I wanted to point out the biceps femoris, the semitendinosus, and the semimembranius is because these three muscles are known as the hamstrings. So if you've heard of somebody that has torn their hamstring or they've stretched their hamstring, they're talking about damage to the three muscles on the back of the thigh. These are very powerful muscles that help you in the flexion of your knee. So if you went to kick a ball, this is a muscle that would help you pull your leg back, and then your quadriceps would allow you to extend it again and kick the ball. Very strong two sets of muscles on the anterior and posterior surface of the thigh. So on the posterior surface of the thigh, we have the hamstrings, which are the biceps femoris, the semitendinosus, and the semimembranous muscles. Semimembranous was 19X. You might write on your sheet that these three muscles make up the hamstrings. So now I'm going to pause the video for a minute and let you make sure you have your muscle man completely labeled.